Till 8 on 92.7 WMDX. Nightlight with
Says we're
Pete
live,
Schwaba.
Kathy from Madison.
We are, just
How
now.
about that?
Hey, folks, glad to be back on Tuesday, September 2nd, after Labor Day. Todd repping the Brewers. They did lose, but it was
Sadly,
close.
yes.
Yeah, from the Northwoods.
Anyway, we will start the game. We will start the show in 30 seconds.
Zommers has been at so many sporting
I
events
have.
this weekend, he now believes we're starting the game.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But that's fine. That's good.
It was fun, but it was a lot. Anyway, 20 seconds.
All right, here we go.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer. Welcome in. It is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, back to work. And yes, back to school for most public school kids. Some of the private school kids already there. Many of our universities across the state, first day of classes as well. Partly cloudy skies at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison. Glad to have you along for a fun, full-packed afternoon. Back on a live show. We replayed our Joe Thomas show. Many thanks to the Pro Football Hall of Famer, the NFL Hall of Famer, Joe Thomas, for being on the show, along with our very own Brady Ewing yesterday. But back with a live show today. Zommers, how the heck are you?
Doing well. You know, I made the unfortunate mistake of forgetting that today was the first day of classes for many, and went to a Starbucks drive-thru in which I was trapped for a while.
Took you a little bit longer than expected. We'll get into our weekend. Zommers, a sports-filled weekend. I was recuperating from a little vaccination, and how that ties into news over the weekend that former CDC directors, including some Republicans, now condemning current Health and Human Services Secretary RFK upheaval. Vaccinations are a part of that. We'll take a look at that. Also closer to home, Dan Bice, columnist from Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, writing a story today. Liberal Supreme Court candidate Chris Taylor ditching her own recusal plan. Turns out when she was in the legislature, she thought, no, Supreme Court justices should recuse themselves if you get a certain level of donations, which it sounds pretty good to me. But now that she's actually running for Supreme Court, maybe not so much. We will dig deeper into that. Our old friend Joe Gow. Remember him, Zommers?
Yeah, sexy, happy cooking.
Yes. Former University of Wisconsin lacrosse chancellor who started his OnlyFans page with his lovely and talented wife, going to TMZ. They're Wisconsin. What is it? What was the one, Only Murders in the Building? Or no, what's the...
Wait, what are you referring to?
The Netflix series is about the big serial killer.
No, that's Only Murders in the Building is a Hulu show.
I know. I was just being fun. I was just
I don't
around.
know. I don't know what show
Yeah,
you're talking about.
It was
honestly.
about the mass murders of or the guy and his nephew. That terrible tragedy over by Green Bay murdered that reporter, and they made To Catch a Murderer
with Stephen Avery.
Yeah, that's
which,
it.
Quick PSA for everyone out there. This used to be a big problem, but not anymore. Anytime I would introduce myself, well, that was big, and say I'm from Manitowoc, they'd be like, oh, you know Stephen Avery?
Right.
It happened in Manitowoc County, not in Manitowoc.
I told you I met him, right?
Did you?
Stephen Avery. Yeah, that's a long story. Maybe we'll get into it later. I had the unpleasurable, but for that moment when they thought he was, didn't do it and was like released, and he was made a hero, and I was in a room, and Anyway,
yeah, you did tell me about that.
Yeah,
That's
that
right.
didn't work out too well. Anyway, and so Netflix have done these shows or on TV of these ridiculous folks from Wisconsin, and now here we have good old Joe Gow talking about his OnlyFans site, which apparently is going to TMZ for some sort of documentary thing. So,
Oh, boy.
so we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show as well. The Brewers are off today after 19 games straight. Or 19.
You gotta silence your phone there, buddy?
I know. Just hang on. Several things going on here today. All right. The Brewers are after 19 straight games. We'll hear from Murph, who got tossed out of yesterday's game. Zombers was there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And preview, we might have a special guest, so hold your hats and hallelujahs later on. Green Bay Packers kicking off their big first week coming up on Sunday. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But want to start with breaking news this afternoon. Just wrapped up at the White House. And this was billed over the last 24 hours as a huge announcement by President Donald Trump in the Oval Office. And I don't want to get into this very far, but over the weekend, as social media and Russian bots tend to do, it was started on social media platforms over the weekend that Donald Trump was missing and he had died. And that there's all this speculation that there was going to be, like J.D. Vance was going to come out, hey, I'm actually the president now. But none of that was remotely close. It was just ridiculous hoopla on the internet. But Donald Trump showed up moments ago at the Oval Office with an announcement regarding the location of the Space Command, moving it from Colorado to Alabama, which... Before we start, we're going to play just a brief synopsis of the actual announcement. But Tommy Tuberville, former coach of Auburn, is now a U.S. Senator. He's in the room for this press conference. And Trump makes a remark, oh boy, I bet you guys didn't like what happened over the weekend there. Because Alabama, the college football team, had a terrible loss to unranked Florida State. What Trump, of course, does not get or understand is that Tommy Tuberville coached for Auburn, which is in Alabama, which is Alabama's arch rival. And it was Alabama who lost, not Auburn. And Tuberville's like, oh, I actually coached at Auburn. So yeah, that's the way things kicked off here this afternoon. And then Trump got into the actual announcement. We're going to come back after this cut, break it down of what the actual truth is, lay it out for you. But here, moments ago, was the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, in the White House.
In my first term, I created a thing called Space Force, so important. We were losing the race in space very badly to China and to Russia, and now we're far and away number one in space, and reestablished Space Com with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be. I will say I want to thank Colorado. The problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting. So they have automatically crooked elections. And we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections because that's what that means. So that played a big factor also. In Huntsville, Spacecom will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, the finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope. It will also ensure that our technological capabilities, of which we're way ahead of anybody else, there's nobody close, remain unmatched long into the future. So I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth to say a few words.
That's the gist of it there. That's the heart of the announcement. And there are actually a couple of important things that came out of this, believe it or not, in my opinion. President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, at the Oval Office less than a half an hour ago. What, to me, the biggest news out of this whole thing was today is that a sitting president of the United States in the Oval Office said that mail-in voting equals crooked elections, and that was a large factor in him moving an entire agency within a department to a different state. And this is Trump's latest thing, is calling mail-in voting crooked and saying he wants to abolish it, saying he's going to sign an executive order to end mail-in voting in the United States. And of course, if you actually read the Constitution and understand it, you know that legally, Trump is not able to do that states control their own voting. But what he can do, and we've already seen him do this on redistricting in Texas, is he could put pressure on red states, i.e., those states that have Republican governors and Republican legislatures, like Texas, like Florida, like Indiana, and have them make mail-in voting illegal. So he can put pressure indirectly, all right? And so he continues this today by saying, hey, Colorado has mail-in voting. That's crooked elections, Trump's term, not mine. And this was a part of it. So that's number one. Number two, he doubles down on this Golden Dome missile defense system, which is, of course, very different than what he is accused of in the Steele dossiers in Russia. Well, Golden Shower, which is something completely different. Don't look it up. Golden Dome, he calls it, much like Ronald Reagan's old, many people don't remember this, but Reagan called it the Star Wars program. You're going to have a big defense system in space, Star Wars. And now Trump is calling it the Golden Dome. So those are my two takeaways. The biggest one, that a sitting president of the United States continues to double down on saying that mail-in voting is, quote, unquote, crooked. And remember, Brian Arthur Schimming, the current chairman of the Wisconsin Republican Party, last year, to his credit, and I credit him last year and continue to do so, he not only applauded mail-in voting, he encouraged Republicans in the state to participate, and so the only way we're going to make headways in Democrats winning Wisconsin is to embrace and participate in mail-in voting. And that is credited largely with helping Donald Trump win Wisconsin last year. So the Wisconsin chairman of the Republican Party is all in on mail-in voting. The standard bearer, the flag bearer for the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump, says that it's crooked. So, people like Derek Van Orden and Scott Fitzgerald and Glenn Grothman, Brian Stile, Tom Tiffany, they're going to have to make a decision. Who is right? Brian Schimming in Wisconsin or Donald Trump? Let me give you the facts on this announcement today. Trump's saying they're going to move the U.S. Space Command from Colorado to Alabama. In 2018, this is via CBS News. In 2018, Trump had signed an order reestablishing a U.S. Space Command after it had been absorbed in 2002 into the U.S. Strategic Command. Its main goal is to find ways to defend U.S. interests in space. In 2023, President Joe Biden had decided instead to keep Space Command headquarters in Colorado, where it temporarily had been located, overturning Trump's first-term decision to Alabama. Here is the key. Biden had been convinced by the head of Space Command at the time that moving its headquarters would jeopardize military readiness. His reversal prompted the House Armed Services Committee, chaired by Republican Mike Rogers of Alabama, to request the Pentagon watchdog investigate the basing's decision. So it was Trump during his first term who said, we're going to do the Space Force, we're going to reestablish a Space Command, and it's going to be in Alabama. When Biden got in and listened to the military advisors at the time, he said, no. Turns out our military readiness is more important. We're going to leave it where it's at in Colorado. And then the Republicans investigated it. And what they found out was very interesting and plays into today's announcement at the White House. What did the investigation reveal? We'll tell you after this. Don't go anywhere. It's a Tuesday edition of the Todd Allbaugh Show across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison. Real news and great conversation.
Sorry, I missed the sound.
Found in
that's fine. That's
orphaned
fine.
wild animal, Dane County Humane Society's Wildlife Center can help. Call 608-287-3235.
You want to share Geezy's comment during the break right now?
No,
Okay.
not right now, no. Maybe later when we get to that.
My name is Chuck Collins. I'm the
No,
great
for those
grandson of
watching
Peter
on the
and
stream,
Oscar Mayer,
I
and I've
never
been
met
patriotic
Stephen Avery on
millionaires, a
Grindr.
collection of wealthy
I met him in
Americans
the
profound
Capitol
concern about the
when he was
responsibility,
awarded
wealth, and power
a
of
commendation, if
Now,
you can
the
believe it or
fact
not,
is, you may not
during the
care how
brief
much
time
money another
where they
person
thought he was
has,
innocent.
but you
And they
likely
brought him to
do
the Capitol, they had a
care
big
how much
hoopla
power
for him,
another person
and
has,
then
especially if
months
they're
later,
using that power
he's
to
arrested
break the rules
and
of the
proven to be the
economy
murderer.
to make
Oop, just
themselves
kidding.
richer and
He was
you poorer. You see, there is a
creepy.
point where money is no longer
Creepy.
money, it's power.
As you
When
might
rich
expect a
people
murderer
use
to
their
be.
money to drown out
I
the
didn't
voices of
meet him,
everyday
but I did
people,
drive past
it's
his
for the
auto
safety
junkyard
and
quite a
security
bit.
of us all.
Gross.
Patriotic
one of my friends
millionaires
lived
don't
near
wanna
there.
live in a country with a few extremely rich people controlling everything, leaving millions of people struggling to just get by. Luckily, we have a solution. Tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. I'm Chuck Collins. I'm a patriotic millionaire, and I approve this message.
Are you an entertainer, the star of the show, or do you like business and growing an enterprise? Maybe you prefer computers and electronics or engineering. Jobs in these fields and many more are available right now in the exciting field of radio and TV broadcasting. The Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and WMDX, part of the Civic Media Radio Network, invite you to the WBA Career Fair, Wednesday, September 17th, 10 a.m. at Madison Marriott West in Middleton.
Maybe I should go to the WBA Career Fair.
Around the state will be there to meet with you and talk about the many exciting opportunities in broadcasting. There's a lot
That's
more to
pretty
radio
funny.
and TV than being on camera.
I am
or behind
kidding,
a microphone.
in case
There are
anybody-
also
Well, I mean, there's a
jobs
different
in
job within
engineering
the
and
company
technical
that
support,
you
artist
applied
management,
for.
clerical
That's true.
work, sales and computer applications, marketing and graphic design, and so much more. Come see all the exciting opportunities available in broadcasting at the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association
20
Career
seconds.
Fair,
Thank you.
Wednesday, September 17th at 10 a.m. at Madison Marriott West in Middleton. Call 800.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Aaron Zommers, producer and engineer on the board. 22 now, past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Tuesday, September 2nd. Talking about the breaking news story. Within the hour, President Trump announcing for the White House that he is going to relocate Space Command to Alabama after it had been in Colorado. And so what happened, just to catch people up if you're just tuning in, that during his first term as president, Donald Trump reestablished the U.S. Space Command. It had been absorbed into something called the U.S. Strategic Command under George W. Bush in 2002. Then Trump says, no, we're going to break this off. It's going to be part of Space Force. And then, of course, he loses to Joe Biden. Biden comes in and instead decides to keep Space Command headquarters in Colorado, because when Trump reestablished this suddenly in 2018, they're like, look, where can we put this? Well, it made the most sense at the time to put it in Colorado. And so Biden just said, well, look, we're gonna keep it there. Because the head of Space Command at the time said that moving the headquarters would jeopardize military readiness. Well, that prompted the Republican House Armed Services Committee Chair, Republican Mike Rogers, of guess where? Alabama. I say it like that because the great late Keith Jackson, broadcaster on ABC, would, get calling, Alabama. So Congressman Rogers from Alabama said we gotta have a big investigation here. So here's what happened. The Defense Department Inspector General said in a report that Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, would be the Air Force's preferred location for the command. That's true. But, keyword but, building facilities equal to the ones that were already in Colorado could take 3 to 4 years, according to the Inspector General's report. Air Force General James Dickinson, at the time, the commander of the U.S. Space Command, voiced concerns about the timeline's impact on the command's readiness, contributing to the decision Biden had made to keep the headquarters in Colorado. So yes, it's true that the Air Force General at the time said, yeah, all things being equal, we'd like to have it in Alabama. But the commander of the actual Space Force Command said, look, 3 to 4 years before you're going to have proper facilities in Alabama, that's going to jeopardize our mission. That's going to jeopardize our readiness. And if you've ever had the honor and pleasure to work with military like I have had, that's number one for them. You say, look, this is my personal preference, all these other considerations. But our number one mission is to make sure that we are ready if and when we are called upon to serve. And so Biden listened to his military advisors and said, okay, let's keep it in Colorado. So now for Trump to come in and say, oh, this is all political and yada, yada, it's just not true. And now think of the 1,000 people that have been a part of Space Command, part of the Space Command, who are now going to have to move to Alabama or get other jobs. According to CBS News, the Air Force in 2021 settled on Huntsville, Alabama, as its preferred location for the headquarters after weighing a number of factors, including proximity to other space agencies and support in the community for military families. 2 years later, as we said, Biden said based on recommendations by the military, it would stay in Colorado. Now, Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville is also home to NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command, and the Missile Defense Agency. As of last fall, 1,000 out of the 1,400 positions allocated for U.S. Space Command have been filled, according to a May Government Accountability Office report. The report found that uncertainty over the final location of the headquarters was a factor in discouraging civilians from applying for jobs at the command. And you don't blame them, right? First Trump's president, now Biden's president, now Trump's president. Where is this actually going to land? I can't take a job and not know if my family has to move halfway across the country. So, again, like so many things in Trump world, they take a nugget of truth, twist it on its head, add in untrue rhetoric, and come up with a new narrative. At the end of the day, it's about the mission and about serving our readiness for defense in this country. And based on everything I've seen and read, it would appear that the overall military recommendation to former President Biden was to keep it in Colorado to make sure that we're ready. And now, and Trump went out of his way to say, I won Alabama by 47 or 46 points. That had nothing to do with it, right? Looked around the room. And as Tony just chimed in on YouTube, as we said at the top of the show, probably the number one thing to come out of today's press conference for me was the President of the United States standing in the Oval Office once again saying that mail-in voting equals, quote-unquote, crooked elections. And the fact that Colorado uses mail-in voting is one of the key factors he decided to move it to Alabama. So that's how decisions are being made now. Not based on actual military recommendations and accurate information, but what do I think politically benefits me and my party? If you want to give us a call, want to chime in, welcome, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Farm News is next with Pam Yonke and her crew of Midwest Farm Report. And when we come back, Todd got the prick over the weekend. How did he recover?
Madison's real news and great conversation.
That was
92.7
close, man.
WMDX. As Wisconsin is cheering on Bucky Badger. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Trimming your nails might not seem like a big deal in the grand scheme
We've
of things.
always known
but
Trump
for
just
cattle,
does stuff
it
based
is
on whatever he
essential.
likes and feels.
I'm Ben
Now he's
Jarbo,
just
the
openly
Midwest
saying
Farm
it. So
Report, and Edwin Skip Blake, the owner of Shamrock Cow Care, is here to share some information when it comes to maintenance trimming for your herd. We'll take a listen in right after this.
Farmers and ranchers across the country trust Can-Am because of how they build, support, and stand behind their machines. Now they're backing that trust with even more. Get 24 months of coverage when you purchase select Defender and Outlander models through the Can-Am Agricultural and Business Program. That's how confident they are in the durability of their units. That's not all.
Right.
You also
His
get
Golden
a rebate
Dome
up to
what Putin called the
$3,500.
Oblong
Give
Trump.
your fleet the upgrade it deserves. Visit the Can-Am website to learn more about the program. Offer ends October 31st. Certain conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's take a listen in to some important cow hoof maintenance trimming considerations.
She's hopefully wearing as much as she's growing, and that would be the ideal condition. But even nowadays with pasture cows, we just say like cows on pasture. Well, that's usually not the case because most modern farms, even if they do a lot of pasture, they're also feeding their cows like a high protein.
no, we can make use
supplement
of
when they're in the milking
the
facility
feature we
or when
recently
they're
discovered worked. Hey, Mark, can you hear us?
Hey there, I'm here.
Wow. Now, Mark, we can talk to you on the break. Wow, that's nice. All right. Well, yeah, we'll kind of reset this and take your comments when we come back.
Okay, not a
All right.
problem.
Thanks.
they do need to have some maintenance trimming.
Edwin Skip Blake, the owner of Shamrock Cow Care. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and we'll take a look at some agriculture news next.
BioVet combines the latest research and technology to develop high-quality microbial and nutritional solutions for your operation. BioVet's innovative product line supports the immune system, digestive function, reproduction, along with growth and development of your livestock. Learn more at bio-vet.com and visit us at World Dairy Expo booth number EH1503 and 1504. EH1503 and 1504.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
Welcome back. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report. Now let's take a look at some agriculture news. Although Labor Day has come and gone and temperatures are starting to cool off a bit, pests are not going away for the apple growers. DACAP says that through their research, there's still significant apple maggot and codling moth activity occurring in some of their locations. They suggest to monitor traps for at least 2 or more weeks, since the flies are still sitting there and laying eggs, because these could cause problems in late ripening apple varieties. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
As Wisconsin has a fish fry on a Friday night, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Sunny and still staying summery today, with high temperatures climbing to the upper 70s. Tonight, a cold front moves through, sparking showers and some rumbles of thunder, mainly overnight and throughout tomorrow. None are expected to be severe, and around 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of rainfall is likely. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 74.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport.
What's worse,
Join
why are we
me
using
each and every
Kirkland
weekday
instead of
right here on
Organic Valley?
Civic Media for
I
the
know,
Tom
right?
Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your community.
It was a generic
This
graphic.
change starts with you.
But also,
Get involved and
I'm
tune
not
in
gonna
to the
get-
Tom Hartman program. Monday through
Summer
Friday
isn't
from
staying
11
out.
a.m. to
Could
2
be
p.m.
giving away free
right here
advertising
on
for a
your
Wisconsin
local
company.
Civic Media radio station.
So instead, let's give it to
Where working
Kirkland.
people come to talk.
'Cause they
It's
need
the
it.
Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network. Join me for an honest approach to the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus group.
Back in
Get
30
ready
seconds.
for a heavy
Gracias.
dose of democracy.
and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. I'm laughing because we may have, I feel like I'm on a date because I'm being teased. We may have a special guest, and I'm very, very excited about it. But
I hope so, because I know what it is.
I know, and I thought it was going to happen, and then we'll see. So you're not going to want to miss it. Because when we put this show together, this is exactly what we're looking for. And so I hope it happens. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Going to talk about, they call it the tease. Speaking of teases, they want me to say things that will entice you to bring you back. So there you go. I'm told now in my earpiece, I'm told now 3 o'clock. After the 3 o'clock hour, the special guest may be popping in. So that's talk about a tease. And so I said before we went to the farm report there, with Midwest Farm Report, the incredible team there, I said I got pricked over the weekend. It might not be what you're thinking. I got vaccinated for a couple of things, for shingles and for pneumococcal pneumonia. I had a little bit of pneumococcal back in college, got some penicillin, cleared it right up. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt like I'd been hit by a car, and boy, do I know what that feels like. Anyway, we'll get into that, and also why it's timely indeed, as Mike Lucas is fond of saying, because of what's happening at the CDC. We're going to get into that in a minute, but I want to finish up on what we were talking about, our top story here, Donald Trump having this press conference in the Oval Office. It really was kind of a nothing burger, in my opinion, mostly just saying that he's going to go back to his decision of 2018 and move the Space Command from Colorado to Alabama. And despite the fact that during the Biden administration, Biden listened to the military advisors who overall said it was better to keep it in Colorado. Yes, true that the Air Force general said if the Air Force had, if they ruled the world, and they don't, but sure, it would probably be better to have it in Alabama. But for a number of reasons, for readiness purposes, it was better overall to keep it in Colorado. And so that's what Biden did. Now here today, Trump says he's moving it back to Alabama. And I think the biggest headline in this whole thing was Trump doubling down today in the Oval Office on mail-in voting, calling it crooked, quote unquote, his word, and saying that was a factor because Colorado has mail-in voting and moving it to Alabama. Now, it probably really didn't, but again, it gives them this platform to double down, sending signals to Republican governors and legislatures to get rid of mail-in voting.
And then he can hold it over their heads and be like, see, I'm taking away your government programs and jobs if you don't do what I like.
Good point. Yeah, exactly. Let's go to the phone lines, 855-752-4842. Mark in Prairie du Sac. Mark, thanks for calling in. How was your Labor Day weekend?
It was great. Went to Labor Fest yesterday. Ran into Chris Taylor, who I've talked to many times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
While I was still working downtown, and ran into Mark Pocan and talked to him for a while as well.
Very good.
My other labor friends, that ran into them as well. But looking at how the Trump administration is doing things, I can't help but note the parallels between it and Stalin, because Stalin purged his officer corps, doing a great deal of damage to his, country's, military readiness and leadership at that point in time. And Stalin was also the one that says, I'll let everybody vote as long as I get to count the votes. And that I see echoes of that in the Trump administration. I mean, the guy just does not understand. I mean, for God's sakes, Russia has mail-in voting. They have computer voting.
Right.
I mean, that we don't, that Putin says something to Trump, and I think Trump is just upset he didn't get to hold hands with Putin like Modi and Ping of China. I think
Right.
that he's upset about that. I guess the old Sweet Caroline, the little line in there about holding hands, touching hands, and I think he's shedding tears there. He wasn't given the same kind of love and comradeship that in spite of the fact he knelt to Vladimir Putin and figuratively and rolled out the red carpet for the man. But I mean that the damage Trump is doing and Hegseth is doing to our military readiness is purging our officer corps, as well as purging other agencies of people that actually know something about like HNSS.
Right.
People are going to die because of this nonsense.
Yeah. Appreciate the call. Thank you so very much, Mark. On the text line, where you can text us via the Civic Media app, download it for free at your Apple or Android device today. Takes less than a minute. It is free. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. Bart, listening on WMDX, says Trump also said he's definitely sending troops into Chicago at the press conference. That's kind of a big news.
He must have said it afterwards in the questions, at which time we were starting the show. That's my guess.
Yes. Yes, I was just about to say. We didn't. It was during when we started the show, so we listened to the whole thing. But now I'm seeing. Apparently, the quote was "quote unquote" "We're going in." So Trump said "We're going in." Unquote, in terms of sending National Guard troops to Chicago, but did not give a timeline. So that was just kind of a quick throwaway thing for Trump today in this press conference. But yes, as they say, big if true. We'll find out whether he actually follows through with it. 855-752-4842. Cam, listening in Appleton. Cam, thanks for listening. What say you?
Hey, so this ties into him Trump snubbing Colorado. He keeps making the comments about the mail-in voting, and he tried to move the space department over to Alabama, and it's because this is still just theory, but it's based off of data. The data from Smart Elections and Smart Legislation and Election Truth Alliance shows that the machines, because they've been able to verify for a fact now that the machines that are used to tally mail-in votes and the chain of custody are completely different systems entirely than the ones that are used for same-day voting and early in-person voting. And those organizations are finding in the data that the two, so early voting and then same-day voting are showing manipulation where mail-in voting is not. So there's clearly a reason why he wants to get rid of them and why he specifically targets the machines that are counting those votes, and he's obviously not being honest about it.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate the call. 855-752-4842. Gene in Eau Claire, let's hear WCFW The Tap. Thanks for calling, Gene. What say you?
Hi, guys. Great show today. Man, where's he getting the money? Another thing, too, is when he tried to deport that plane full of minors. I can't remember what day it was. I was trying to get my.
Yeah.
Now I take.
It was Saturday or Sunday, yeah.
I take pictures of headlines now because I can't keep up, and I'm running out of notebooks and papers. There are so many disgusting things going on. He's attacking the United States from the inside out, going after all our institutions that keep America safe. He had a bunch of kids on a plane ready to deport them with no verification of where they go, who they are, and luckily a judge stopped them. Child abuse. It's ringing out loud and clear, and I got to tell you, the new GOP party is guardian of the predators. So keep that in mind when you vote, guardian of the predators, because it is hitting all the way around our country, and I hope people wake up because this guy's got to go. And the people that put him in and the people that are responsible for Project 2025. Wake up, folks. We're in for the battle of our lives, but we can do it if we do it together. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Jane. Appreciate the call, as always. 43 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. Yeah, lots of news over the Labor Day weekend. I think, to Gene's point, some of the things I haven't talked about, was not a great weekend for Trump in court, as things like this, trying to deport people, suddenly got stopped by judges. Also, the tariffs, some of those got knocked down by the courts this weekend. The courts are not necessarily the U.S. Supreme Court, but lower courts are, in fact, saying no to Trump. And he doesn't like that too much. And there are reports that tomorrow, several of the victims from Jeffrey Epstein's island and other places are going to hold their own press conference tomorrow, which is only going to put a bright light back on the Epstein files, which the Trump administration continues to refuse to release. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Donald Trump, all said that, geez, just give us another term, and we'll unmask all the sexual predators. We'll give QAnon and MAGA-based people and the alt-right extremist Christian nationalists, not, when I say that, remember, not talking about your standard Catholic or Methodist or Wesleyan church or whatever. These are the QAnon folks, the alt-right, the extremists who said that Donald Trump was essentially their savior and he was going to unmask the Epstein files. And now that it's not happening, one can only assume why. Because again, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but if you got nothing to hide, you say, sure, here's everything we got. But if you got something to hide, you don't release it. That's my take. But I'm a pretty simple guy. And so that's very disappointing, as you might imagine, to the QAnon and the alt-right and the extremist MAGA folks. Because the guy that they looked the other way for all of his other infidelities and sins, because he was the chosen one, to use the Star Wars term. And turns out he ain't doing what was chosen of him. And so Trump finds himself in a conundrum, a quandrum, if you will, a kerfluffle. So he's doing everything he can, Trump, in my opinion, to move the spotlight away from not releasing Epstein files to anything else. Not sure how you spent your weekend. Mine was largely recovering from, I went to my doctor, got my physical, as I said, on Friday. We were here with a live show on Friday. In the morning, had my physical. The good news is cholesterol's fine. Blood pressure's fine. I'm pretty healthy, all things considered. But I need to get my second shingles. I'm not going to get into the story. I had shingles in my late 20s. Was in a very stressful situation.
Not fun.
Not fun. It was terrible. And now the person who gave it, who largely was responsible for that, passed away recently. Anyway, so I've had shingles. I was out of work for almost 3 months. And so even still, and so they say, I've reached the age now that I have to get my shingles vaccine. And I got my first one a few months ago. You got to go back for the second one. Now, some people get both of them. They're fine, basically. Well, I got that, and I got the vaccination for pneumococcal pneumonia. If you've ever had the pneumococcal pneumonia, I am not. I shouldn't be laughing because it's probably very serious.
Yeah, it's serious.
So I just like saying pneumococcal pneumonia. And the ads, the TV ads for it are really funny.
Yeah, having TV ads for
pneumococcal pneumonia
vaccines is weird. Anyway,
I got my vaccine as I'm supposed to do. I'm happy to do it. I'm glad to do it. But boy, did it knock me flat on my back for about 3 days. Well, 2.5. I was glad I did it on Friday of Labor Day weekend. And so it was timely. This is from Axios. Over the weekend, 9 former directors of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, better known as the CDC, on Monday warned about increasing threats to public health from the Trump administration's political interference at the agency. Who are these people? Did they include Republicans, and what did they say? We'll tell you after this. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Monday, a vaccination Monday, on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Connecting audiences, powering brands. This is Civic Media. Learn more at civicmedia.us/advertise.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response.
Better.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes.
Well, I'm going to play that song on the way in, and we'll have to explain why.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
There you go, people on the stream. We just talked about pneumococcal pneumonia. We talked about ads for pneumococcal pneumonia. And there, without even knowing it, serendipity, we had an ad for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccine.
To another 10-year term on the court. In her statement announcing the decision, Bradley bemoaned a, quote, shift from thoughtful, principled judicial service toward bitter partisanship, personal attacks, and political gamesmanship. If you followed Bradley's
we'll play the
time on
song
bench,
that was on in the
you couldn't
background
imagine
and
the
say that
hypocrisy
what
in that
happened, at
statement,
least on
because that's the
WMDX.
exact kind of extreme, toxic approach she's brought to the Wisconsin Supreme Court over the past decade. But beyond that, this sets up
It's not an ad for pneumococcal pneumonia. It's an ad
this one, however, will be a bit
for
different than recent
pneumococcal
races
pneumia
where a majority
vaccine,
control
right?
support
Right
is
for
on
the
the line.
vaccine.
In this
We're not
race,
advertising
liberals will have the
pneumococcal
opportunity to
pneumonia.
expand their majority from 4-3 to 5-2 if candidate Chris
Jeff
Taylor,
Perry
a
says,
former
next talk
Democratic
about winning
state
the lottery.
legislator, wins the
Oh,
election in
don't
spring
you
2026.
wish, Jeff?
Find all of Dan's work at the recombobulation
And we should
area.
talk about that every time now, because now it's getting to the point where you start daydreaming, right? Like, what if I won $1 billion? What would I do with it? Because after taxes, you're still left with probably $500 million,
counties must count
which is
mail-in
plenty.
ballots
Which is
with
plenty.
missing or incorrect
I
date.
could make it on.
Decision
It'd be
could
tough,
protect the
but I
vote
could
of
make
as
it on
many as
$500 million.
10,000
Here's the first thing you
each
do.
election. The ballots in
Don't tell
question were
anybody.
received
Right,
by
you don't tell
election
anybody.
officials on time
You
from
hide it
eligible voters,
or put
but
it in a
lacked
safe
the date
deposit
or
box,
included the wrong date.
and then
Voters claim the rejection
make an
violated
LLC in
their free
Delaware.
speech
That's
and
what
the
they say.
materiality provisions of the Civil
What?
Rights and Voting Rights Acts. August 26th, the Third
Oh,
Circuit
well,
Court of
thank you.
Appeals
See,
upheld a lower court decision
it's the
agreeing the
vaccine.
rejections
That's the
violated
vac- I
the
can't remember what
First
day
and
it is.
14th Amendment rights of the voters. The court also rejected the GOP's argument that the date was
We
critical
said
to
we had
preventing
the ad.
election fraud. Writing for the panel, Senior
Yeah.
Judge D.
Yeah.
Brooks Smith
So
noted,
you're coming
quote,
on?
and discarding thousands of ballots
I'm
every
very
election
excited.
is not a reasonable trade-off in view of the date requirements' extremely limited
We're
and
dipping
unlikely
quickly.
capacity to detect and deter fraud. The opinion continued,
All right, very good.
we are unable
Fantastic.
to justify the Commonwealth's practice of discarding
30 seconds.
ballots
Thank you.
contained in return envelopes with missing or incorrect dates that has resulted in the disqualification of thousands of...
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
That's the Todd Allbaugh Show on a Tuesday. I think I said beforehand it was Monday. It's Tuesday, of course, September 2nd, 2025. Great song, by the way. And right on cue, because we've been talking about the fact that I got on Friday at my physical, I got my second shingles vaccine shot and also my pneumococcal pneumonia shot. And I was a little ill over the weekend, recovering from these vaccines. Happy I have them, by the way. And I think that it has affected my thinking because I said it was Monday and it was actually Tuesday. But here's the thing. We didn't plan this. I'm not sure if it played everywhere in the state on all of our stations, but here in Madison on WMDX, right on cue during the commercial break, we had an ad.
First one.
We had an ad from Pfizer about the pneumococcal pneumonia vaccine, and it used that song. Yeah, I know, right?
The unexplained mysteries of radio.
That was fun. That was great. Nicely done. Nice timing on that. So here's the deal. This is according to it's a great story in Axios. Over the weekend, yesterday, as a matter of fact, 9 former directors of the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, i.e. the CDC, warned about increasing threats to public health from the Trump administration's political interference at the agency. Health Secretary, I like saying it like that, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s takeover of health policy funding and research, quote, is unlike anything we have ever seen at the agency and unlike anything our country has ever experienced, unquote, the directors wrote in a New York Times guest essay. The Trump administration ousted CDC Director Susan Monarez last month. i.e. a week ago, after she refused to quit. The White House said that she was, quote unquote, not aligned with the Make America Healthy Again agenda. It's a very nice way, in my opinion, of saying she won't do what we tell her. Now, several top CDC officials also resigned following her departure. Silicon Valley investor and entrepreneur Jim O'Neill, who advocated for unproven COVID treatments, was named acting CDC director. So if you were all in on the ivermectin or putting a light hose up your rear end, this is the guy for you.
Or injecting bleach.
Or bleach. This is the guy for you. The 9 directors' tenure of the CDC spans from 1977 to this year, and they have collectively spent more than 100 years working at the CDC. They worked in either permanent or acting capacities under Republican and Democratic administrations from former President Carter to current President Trump. Here's what they're saying in this letter the 9 former directors wrote, quote, "The loss of Dr. Menarez and other top leaders will make it far more difficult for the CDC to do what it has done for about 80 years, to work around the clock to protect Americans from threats to their lives and health." They went on to say, during our respective CDC tenures, we did not always agree with our leaders, but they never gave us a reason to doubt that they would rely on data-driven insights for our protection, or that they would support public health workers. That's key, right? That regardless of party, regardless of presidents of the past of both parties, these directors of the CDC say, look, we didn't always agree with our bosses, but they always relied on data-driven science and a commitment to support public health workers. First time, according to these former CDC people, directors, that this is not happening. The White House spokesperson referred Axios yesterday to O'Neill's Friday statement, quote, "Public health is a noble calling," he wrote, "when it is driven by transparent data and rigorous science. It earns public trust and keeps the world safe. We are helping the agency earn back the trust it has squandered," unquote. I'm just not aware of any credible people that think that the CDC squandered trust. I just don't know any. As I said, credible people. I'm not talking about that goofy so-called quack doctor that Trump had in his first term that's now in Congress. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who have committed their life to science and to health and to public health and who do not do it in a partisan way. I'm talking about the people that you go to in Green Bay and Amory and Richland Center and Milwaukee, the people that you walk in that take your blood pressure and check you. You're talking about the physician assistant. I'm talking about the nurse practitioner, the registered nurse, the physician that you see. How many times do they come in with a sticker for one party or the other? How many times do they say, well, you know, according to blank administration or according to President blank, here's what we should be doing? Never encountered that in my experience. Because they rely on science and data and research and things that are provable. And now, for the first time in our country's history, we have an administration and a health secretary who does not rely on those things and goes at the whim of the head of a party, the MAGA party, for political purposes, using health, people's lives, as a political pawn, a political tool. I think it's extraordinarily dangerous and sad. Going to come back next hour. You're not going to want to miss it. A special guest in studio with Packers News. That's right. A special guest with Packers News. What is it? Who is it? Stay tuned. You're going to find out. And what's worse, having to do with Wisconsin's #1 drink, milk. It's the second hour of the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday. Don't go anywhere on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Spacecom will move out of Colorado Springs, says President Trump at the White House.
The U.S.
Chancellor Gao is not just his nose that grows.
Locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City.
The Air Force said the move would save millions of dollars. Defying President Trump and the Speaker of the House, Congressman Thomas Massey, Kentucky Republican, has formally filed a measure to bypass Republican leadership and force a vote ordering the Justice Department to publicly release the Jeffrey Epstein files. The congressman now collects signatures. A federal judge rules that the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles violated a century-old law. The Israeli military says it's called up thousands of reservists for its ground operation into Gaza City. This is ABC News.
As Wisconsin has a game of cribbage with good friends, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Measles is spreading in Wisconsin, and fewer kids are protected here. So far, at least 23 people have gotten the highly contagious virus here in the Badger State, all in Oconto County. Nationwide, an unfortunate milestone. The U.S. now has the most measles cases ever since the disease was declared eradicated in 2000. More than 1,200 people across the country have gotten sick. 3 have died, 2 of them young children. ER physician Dr. Darian Sutton says declining vaccination rates are to blame.
In order to protect against infections and outbreaks of measles, you need at least 95% of the population vaccinated against measles. In recent years, we've seen that percent decline, specifically among children. Right now, approximately 93% of children are vaccinated or up to date on their routine vaccinations. And when that happens, the most contagious virus will break through. And that's what we're seeing today.
Now, 93% of kids across the country have their measles shots, but those numbers are much lower here in Wisconsin. Only about 81% of toddlers here have been vaccinated against measles. Wisconsin has the second lowest vaccination rate in the nation. More and more parents are choosing to opt their children out. In Dane County, about 84% of 2-year-olds have at least one dose of the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. That's higher than the rest of the state average. In a decade-long period between 2013 and 2023, the vaccination rate here in Dane County has dropped about 2%. Meanwhile, toddler measles vaccination rates have dropped dramatically in some counties across Wisconsin. In that same decade, the vaccination rate dropped 19% in Marquette County and 20% in Forest County. Health experts say if you want to get your kid vaccinated, your pediatrician's office is a good place to start. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson.
I would agree with that.
92.7
I didn't go to my
WMDX
pediatrician,
News.
but I did go to my doctor.
Murph gets ejected. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers have the night off. Game 2 of their 3-game series is tomorrow night at AmFam Field against the Phillies. The Brewers losing yesterday 10-8 to Philadelphia. Manager Pat Murphy ejected from the game after first base umpire Jim Wolf's controversial call on a Phillies batter that put him on base with a walk instead
All right,
of a
thanks,
called
David
strike
New Berlin.
3.
We appreciate
umpires
you.
have a hard job. What I
He's
don't
gonna
like
watch
is when they're
now,
definitive
if you're like
that they got
Dave,
it right,
you
and
actually
then
have a
I see
job.
what
You
I
have to
see
work.
after
You
the
can't
game,
listen
and
or
you can
watch.
see the barrels
You
out
can
in
go
front of his
to,
front leg.
I
Tell
guess,
me
the
how the barrel can
podcast,
be
but
in front of
don't,
his front leg.
the
And
podcast
then
is messed up right now.
An MRI
So go to
for Brewers
YouTube.
pitcher Shelby
You
Miller
have to go to
says he
Civic
felt
Media
something
and
pop
then
in
look
his
up the
elbow.
Allbaugh Show
He exited the game
on
in
Civic
the
Media.
8th inning. At
Or
NFL, Packers
you can
holding
go to
practice, and
Facebook,
newly
the
acquired
Todd
Micah
Allbaugh Show,
Parsons there, wearing his
or
number 1
on
jersey.
X Twitter on Civic Media. Because for some odd reason, the at Allbaugh Show on Twitter ain't working. I mean, we can post things, but we can't stream the show there right
Sports
now.
on Mike Clemens.
We don't know why. I'm very excited. I'm going to the
As
stream.
Wisconsin is dropping a line in your
There's a
favorite
special
fishing spot.
for
This
streamers
is the Civic
only.
Media Radio Network.
Getting a sneak preview of our
Sunny and
surprise
still
guest
staying summery
after
today.
weeks
High
away
temperatures climbing
on
to the upper
hiatus.
70s.
He has
Tonight,
returned,
a
the
cold
one,
front
the
moves
only,
through, sparking
Luke Mathers.
showers and some rumbles of thunder, mainly overnight and throughout tomorrow. None are expected
Very
to be severe,
excited.
and around a quarter of an inch to a
This
half
is
an inch of rainfall
fantastic.
is likely. I'm meteorologist.
Check one, check two, checkity check, check.
74.
He's coming in hot.
Lung cancer can be pretty scary.
That's Somers' problem.
Approximately 8 million current.
I adjusted it.
Immediately, assaulting him, Luke, blaming it on Aaron
I didn't
Somers.
blame it. I simply said.
Lung cancer early, and it only
He
takes
was
60
correct.
seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening.
You are correct.
Easy quiz to see if you're eligible. Visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Dave can't even hear the show today. Is there a problem?
We give him a shot. He has to
No,
work.
he's
today.
just working.
He's got to work. He has to watch us later.
He listens every day when he can.
We've given people all the options here on the stream to listen. But if they're on the stream, they probably already know.
Education is promoted. You get a better sense of what the world is all about. We
So
know
many
that
ways
also
to listen
because
to
our
participate,
Supreme Court has
to
said so.
watch and
Brown
listen
versus
to
Board
us
of Education.
when
Brown
you
versus
want
Board of
to.
Education
You
too.
decide.
On
Amicus,
demand.
a law review with Jim
About 20
Santel.
seconds.
Saturday morning
Gracias.
from 9 to 11.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
On the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Somers, our producer and engineer. It is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Now, 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the program here, downtown Madison on State Street. Mostly cloudy skies, some sun peeking through. Not a bad day at all, but boy, enjoy it today because the bottom is going to fall out of the old temperature gauge by midweek. Highs only in the upper 50s and some part up north, maybe some frost in the pumpkin. I mean, way up north, like Ashland and Superior and that area. But yeah, going to be pretty cool for a couple days. And then temperatures moderate again this weekend. Brittany Merlot will continue to update us on that. Coming up this hour, Chancellor Gao from La Crosse, back in the news, has a deal with TMZ. And, you know, the fun never quits when it comes to Chancellor Gao. So we'll talk about that. Also, Supreme Court news. Following up on Rebecca Bradley, the bad Bradley, as we say, who stepped, I don't know, she's not going to run again. She is out, but news on the liberal that's in, according to Dan Bice, coming up a little bit later on in this half hour. But right now, what's worse as well, involving Wisconsin's number one drink, milk. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, as we teased right before the top of the hour, no better tease, right? That he used to join us every Tuesday for Tuesday Tangents with Luke. And then lawyers got involved. There was a big contract dispute, and we were told we couldn't have him anymore. And now he has breaking. And I said, we talked on the show before it started, and because now he's our boss. We answer to Luke, which is great. He's a great supervisor and boss. And he said, well, what are we doing this weekend? I said, well, I have the pneumococcal pneumonia vaccine recovery time. And I said, what'd you do? And he tells me, and I said, this is what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. People want more of this. And so he went to the 12th floor. He got permission from the attorneys. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, right beside me in the studio, our friend, our colleague, the one, the only, Luke Mathers for Tuesday Tangents with Luke. Luke, sir, how are you?
Maybe I'm already regretting this decision, Todd. I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm great now that you're here. It's great to have you back on the show. We appreciate you making a special appearance.
Of course.
Now,
well, I wasn't planning on joining you today, but you pretty much insisted after I told you a little bit about my celebrity sighting over the weekend.
Well, here's the deal. And the Packers back underway, regular season. Of course, our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Nobody covers the Packers better. The Packers going to be getting underway on Sunday up in Green Bay, taking on the Detroit Lions. You can hear the broadcast starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Richland Center, Park Falls, Racine, Kenosha, and now Wautoma as well. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you know, and I said, well, you took a little time with your family and friends up in the Door County area, and you ran into someone on the golf course. And I said, oh, my God, we got to talk about this.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on golfing this year, but my brother-in-law was like, you can use my clubs. It's fine. And I was like, I don't want to drag mine all the way up there. I don't play that often. I'm not very good. It's more of an excuse to walk around, enjoy the nice weather. We had excellent weather up in Door County. It was a little chilly to be camping, but, we made it work. And interestingly enough, as we were finishing the 9 holes, because we agreed we wouldn't take all day, the ladies back at the campsite with all the kids and dogs and stuff. I was like, I don't want to make Kelsey or anybody else have their hands full because I'm out doing 18 holes.
It sounds like it was a hunting trip. Well, the ladies were back at the campsite.
No, it was me, my cousins, my brother-in-law, my uncles, my aunt joined us. Right. But there was 8 of us gone, and so there's a lot of little ones running around. I was like, I don't need to play 18. I'm not good enough to play 18. Finishing up the 9th hole, and somebody just started casually chatting with us, who was about to get ready to tee off from the first hole, and I look over, and it was none other than the former president, now President Emeritus.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah. For the Packers, Mark Murphy.
You ran into Mark Murphy on the golf course.
He was chatting me up. He was asking how I was doing.
Because you were being very polite. You were like, you recognized him, but you weren't going to be one of those people.
Right. I wasn't going over to say hi or anything like that. But we were waiting for the second of the 2 foursomes to finish up. We were waiting for my uncles.
Murphy had 6, you said.
I believe 6. Yeah, he had a large family.
But when you're Mark Murphy.
Yeah. And so he was getting ready. He was asking us how we did. He was teasing us, letting us know that the back 9 were easier than the front 9. And we told him, well, that's good news, but we're not playing the back 9. He said even better. He had some fun with the crew that he was with, talking about how many breakfast balls, which if you don't play golf very often, when you're teeing off from the first hole, usually the first one doesn't go where you want it to go, so you get an extra one. A mulligan, some folks call it, breakfast ball is usually what it gets referred to with me and my friends. And I asked, how were things going with the big news with the trade last week, Thursday? And he said, Micah Parsons
from the Cowboys
to
the Green Bay.
Yep,
legendary trade, probably the biggest acquisition of Green Bay since Reggie White. Go ahead.
And Charles Woodson was up there. I was just saying, but we do that with defensive players. We make a big splash. Xavier McKinney last year I thought was a really good free agent ad, but yes, not to this level. And so we essentially. We were talking about the trade. He asked us what our reactions were. We told him how excited we were. He said, a lot of the time, like players of that caliber, which Parsons is up in the Reggie White caliber of defensive players, don't become available very often. And I kind of made I was on the golf course. I was having some fun.
Sure.
I made the offhand comment that, I didn't really think that he was available, but apparently Jerry made him so available. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. And Mark Murphy along the lines was, Jerry kind of messed that one up, but he didn't necessarily say it in a way that is
radio friendly.
Yeah, radio friendly. So therefore, we were having a good time. He was very nice. We bumped into him again the second time in Door County, at one of the breweries up there, and overall it was very interesting. And you never know who you're going to bump into here in Wisconsin.
That's great, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing that because number one, I find it because what initiated all this is over the weekend there's news now that Micah Parsons plans to play on Sunday, but it's going to have to take a cortisone shot or something for back issues he's had. So I asked Lukester, I said, okay, is this a deal where Parsons was not 100% and the Packers really made a terrible mistake, or just a unusual medical thing? And you said you thought it was a usual medical thing.
I think so. But the way that Mr. Murphy was reacting, it seemed like he was very excited that the Packers got the upper hand of the deal. So this news over the weekend now developing that Parsons has got something going on with the back. I'm hoping it's just routine, but time will tell.
Well, that's great insider information, but also just a great story in that. And others I've talked to or had similar experiences. When we were on the road last year with Trigby and Reed Galen, we had an event there with the local rep there. Before he was a rep, he was the assistant to the mayor there, Ahmad.
Rivera
Right,
Wagner.
yes, thank you. And Murphy was there just having a dinner and was very kind, talking to people, was totally cool, people coming up to him. And so I think it just makes you feel good as a Packer fan to know those are the types of people that are running our organization.
Yeah, and we thanked him for everything. I mean, it's very easy being a Green Bay Packer fan of late, and so we thanked him for everything he's done for the organization. And it sounded like when we bumped into him after the golf course that he did okay, but he wasn't bragging, but he did okay on the golf course as well.
Now, Sue in Franklin asks, were you at Maxwell? What is it? Maxwellton in Bailey's Harbor?
Yep.
Well, she reports he owns it now.
Yeah. So that's what my uncles thought. I didn't know that, but my uncles were.
So that's
not
why
everybody
he got six in his foursome.
Probably, but not everybody was in my family was quick to recognize him. They were
really
dismissing him
Did
a little
he have
bit.
a hat on?
I believe so, but I don't know if it was a Packer hat. I think it was just a kind of a baseball cap. Yeah. He was out there enjoying some family time as my cousins and I and my uncles. We were all just doing it. It was a great holiday weekend. It was a fun time. I only lost a couple balls, so
Nice.
but it was very interesting to kind of look over and we weren't trying to chat him up. He was very excited to be there. He was very friendly, outgoing. And you just never know who you're going to run into.
No, you don't. That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Luke, because see, this is exactly what we're looking for when it comes to this is what our listeners want to hear is great insight, Wisconsin insight, and information. So thank you for that.
Of course, Todd.
And as Luke likes to remind me, this is the difference between a younger man. What does he do on Labor Day weekend? Golfs with Mark Murphy. What does an older man do? Recover from my pneumococcal
I want to make it very clear I
vaccines.
was not golfing with Mark Murphy.
Technically, you were.
I happened to run into
Were you on the golf course with the man?
Yes, but I
You
was
were
already
golfing
finished
with
with my
Mark
round.
Murphy?
I finished my round. Maybe 2 truths and a lie that I could use in the future
Right?
one time.
Right.
I'll have to come up with. I did have class with Sam Decker, so that's my other.
Did
maybe
you
2
really?
truths. Yeah, Sam Decker and I were at UW at the same time. So
That's cool.
we had his history class together freshman year.
Wow,
He's very tall.
Yes,
Sam Decker is very
he's
tall.
a very tall
Just
man.
Right,
why
sitting next
would-
to him at a desk. There's not a lot of space in those desks, and Sam needed all the leg room he could
Any
get.
other interesting factoids for us before I mean?
I'll have to
this is
figure out
great.
what my one lie is, but now I've given away what my 2 truths are.
Yeah, but that's really good. Those are big.
Yeah, they're okay. They're all right. It was a
I
fun
think it's very,
weekend.
it was very fun. I appreciate you sharing that because it makes us feel good as the Packers get set to kick off the week again, the season, pardon me, on Sunday at Lambeau Field against Detroit.
Yep.
Big contest, 1 o'clock for the pregame show here on several of our civic media stations. Quickly, before we go to break, Lukester, any thoughts on game 1?
I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the NFC North was so strong last year, and the Packers did not fare well against them. 1-5 in those 6 games that they play against the division opponents. And so I'm really hoping that Green Bay is able to take care of business when the Lions come to town. Parsons is going to be a game wrecker, and if he's feeling good, whether he needs the shot in the back or not, I think it's going to be interesting to see. We got to have Jordan Love's got that hand too, though. So his non-throwing.
I think Clemens said that it seems to be doing okay.
You don't know what's happening until all of a sudden real time.
It's
So it's
gonna
going to
be
be
fine.
interesting to keep an eye on. But I'm hoping, and then we get another divisional matchup. I think pretty early on in the season too. But week 4 is against the Cowboys. That's going to be the fun one.
That's
to
going to
watch.
be a lot of fun. And after the Micah Parsons trade, I thought it was a good sign because not everybody here at Civic Media is like Luke and me. And Zalmer is a Packers fan. We do have a couple of rogue Vikings, Bears, and Lions fans here at Civic Media. The good news is the day after that Micah Parsons trade came in, they were all curled up in the fetal position on the floor in the office. So I thought that was a good sign. I thought that
My
was
best
very
friend's a
good.
Bears fan, and he was not too pleased. So yeah.
All right, that's Tuesday Tangents with Luke Mathers special edition. Thank you, Luke.
Always a pleasure, Todd.
A pleasure is ours. Very good, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ready to do another round of What's Worse, including milk. Should we? We don't have time to. We don't really have time.
Got a
open
minute.
The thing. All right, let's open the thing. Here we go. What's worse?
This or that, this or that. And of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this, or you can get with that.
What's worse? Nothing to give away. No money to throw at you, but it is your chance to have your voice heard on all 10 News Talk sports stations in the Civic Media Radio Network. Timely indeed, as Mike Lucas says. we might be talking to Mike Lucas. I'm very excited about that. What's worse, the category today, because as we said, we're into September. Kids are going back to school today. What do kids drink at school? Milk. What's worse, skim milk or 2% milk? Skim milk or 2% milk? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. And on the Civic Media app, we'll take your calls next. Lukester, skim or 2%?
Skim is worse.
Very good.
It's lying about being milk.
We'll have all of that after this. Don't go anywhere on Civic Media.
Tom Hartman here. You're listening to
That's
92.7.
ladies and gentlemen on the stream, isn't that what we want? That's exactly what we want right there.
Excellent show, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, because he's on it. It's great.
Five-star authentic Mexican cuisine, fresh, homemade, and the best prices in town. CY1 review said, best tacos I've ever had in my life. El Sazon Jarocho. You won't leave hungry, just happy.
Hey, Gordy. How you doing? Oh, Arthur, great. Great to see you.
You never know who you're going to run into.
You never know. You never know who's going to be here on the show.
Okay. Well, to get a commercial on the air here, you just go down to the sales department. It's right next to the bathroom.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners out there how to contact me to get a commercial on WMDX.
Okay, I get it. Okay, let's come up with something. Let's see. Business folks can contact you directly, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what's the email, huh?
Okay, so it's sales@WMDXradio.com.
Oh, wait, run that by me again.
Sales@WMDXradio.com. So we could put all that together and get into a commercial, get on the air soon?
Arthur, my friend, I think we just did.
Advertise on WMDX Radio. Email Arthur, sales@WMDXradio.com.
Shop now for your new Verlo mattress and get the box spring absolutely free.
Wow, a whole box
Pete, you think milk's disgusting? Oh, well, okay.
Plus, get Verlo's
If you have
lifetime
actual
comfort
legit
guarantee.
hereditary things, I get that.
Now, during
Yeah.
Verlo's free box
But
spring
I
sale.
mean, obviously
The
know
Johnny
you,
Gordy
but
Show.
I
Hey,
kind of
look
thought it
who's
was
on the
lactose
line. It's
intolerant as
CJ.
well
You guys are
until
probably old enough to remember the Stone Hearth.
Oh, yes. Stone Hearth.
until I started drinking Organic Valley. And once I started drinking, and this is not being paid to say this or whatever, it's just the truth, is that once I started drinking Organic Valley milk, I have had very few, if any, sort of lactose issues since then. But I get
Weekday
some people
mornings
may
6
have
till 8 on
individual
92.7
issues.
WMDX and the Civic Media app.
We're going to listen to a milk-based song that we've heard before on the show.
A
But it's been
milk-based
a while.
song. A milk-based song.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. We'll see.
You'll probably recognize it.
Ain't nothing like a nice bowl of cornflakes in the morning to smooth you out. Milky, cereal,
Baby.
milky, cereal, milky, cereal,
Baby.
milky, cereal. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the baddest female of them all? It was Frosted Flake. She loved your bowl, and although her skin was white, she had a lot of soul. Rich female, very debonair, driving her rolls with rollers in her hair. We was hanging out, pumping the stereo. She took me to a club. I think the name was Cheerios. She woke like she was jumping a hurdle. I was happy as a kid to see some Mutant Ninja
The name
Turtles.
was Cheerios. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh song show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 23 now past the hour of 3 o'clock. We're right in the middle of what's worse for today. What's worse, the category, skim milk or 2% milk. Skim milk or 2% milk.
Yeah,
855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Zommers, what was that song you dialed up?
We've played it before on the show, but it's been a while, probably over a year. You might not know that famed rapper LL Cool J has a song titled Milky Cereal, but he sure does.
I did not know LL Cool J had a song called Milky Cereal.
There's one more milk song that I want to play.
But we've played it
that's
before.
7 seconds
I
long.
forgot. Oh, 7 seconds? All right, here we go.
Please pass the milk, please. Please pass the milk, please. Please pass the milk, please.
That's it.
That's the whole song.
All right. Well, glad we got their license payment in on that one. What's worse, skim milk or 2%? 855-752-4842. 752-4842. Off the text line, PJ, watching on the stream, pardon me, says both are worse. Milk is disgusting, says PJ. I cannot drink it, or I can't drink it due to an intestinal issue, which is hereditary on my father's side of the family. I do consume milk alternatives like coconut or almond. Thank you, PJ. I appreciate that. Look, I recognize everybody's body is different, and some people may have legit hereditary issues there, like PJ. And this is not an endorsement. I don't get paid to say that. It's just the truth, and that's what we're here to do, say the truth. I had some lactose issues when I was younger, and I've told this story on the show before. I won't go into detail, but I lived in Florida for a few short months and was lonesome for Wisconsin. I looked at the Publix in the dairy section, and there was 2% milk by Organic Valley Dairy here in Wisconsin. And that was 2007. And ever since I switched to Organic Valley milk, my lactose tolerance problems went away. So, PJ may have a legit medical issue that won't address, but I think there's something to be said for switching, or at least trying organic or Organic Valley milk, because I think it does make a difference where products come from, how they're processed, and what goes into them or doesn't go into them. So the question is, what's worse, skim milk or 2% milk? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Ted, listening in beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin. Ted, skim milk or 2%? What's worse?
Skim milk.
Very good.
I can tolerate 2%. Personally, raw to me is the best.
Okay.
Or whole milk. But for that gentleman's problem with milk, A2 milk is the best for digestive problems.
All right. Well, there you go. I appreciate the input, Ted. How are things?
Did you hear about our judge?
No, what happened? Oh yeah, he resigned, right? He quit.
Resigned.
Yeah, we had that story from Wisconsin Watch, right? Of that three-way up that legal three-way between a judge, a prosecutor, and a cement contractor. And the judge was the MAGA guy, right? Who was trying to put this guy in jail that wasn't for an issue that wasn't even before his court, and now the guy stepped down.
Well, gee, I wonder if he did it.
Well, not until February.
Oh,
that's the kicker. Not until February, but he's going.
Interesting. I appreciate you bringing, because we had that Wisconsin Watch story on this show, and that really interesting, right, Ted?
Yep. I love it.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Have a great day in Appleton, Ted at Appleton. What's worse, skim milk or 2% milk? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Ben, listening in beautiful Richland Center, the old hometown on WRCE in the Driftless, says, when we were kids, my mom would use powdered milk and tried to palm it off as regular. My dad didn't make any money because he was in radio. Yes, I know exactly what he's talking about. Well, you do it for the love of it, right? I mean, you do it for the love of it. But yeah, I mean, I know there are some people that for whatever reasons. Now, I've used powdered milk, I think, in recipes before, but boy, I can't do the powdered milk stuff.
I remember
That's pretty nasty.
when someone told me that they used powdered milk, I was like, you're lying. That doesn't exist. There's no way.
Oh, yeah.
This was many years ago,
Right.
But I've never had it.
The thing I remember about powdered milk the most, and not the stuff for human consumption, but my paternal grandparents were dairy farmers, and you would a lot of times to wean the calf off of the cow, you'd use powdered milk, and it was like a powder you put into a bucket and then put warm water in it, and you'd mix it with your hands, and then as a young kid, you'd get to hold the bucket next to the calf pen, and they'd put their heads out between the slots, and they'd just go crazy for this powdered milk. And it had a certain smell to it that was just like sweet and warm, and you'd think it has to be delicious. I never tried it that I remember.
You should have.
But it was just one of those things of life, feeding calves that warm powdered milk. It's a sense, a smell that would just instantly take me back to those days. So that's the only powdered milk that I was ever involved with. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. What's worse, skim milk or 2% milk? Take more of your phone calls here in a bit. Also more text in just a bit as well. But you can always call or text in on the text line. Several people doing that will tell you what they're saying after this. What's worse, skim milk or 2% milk? Also, Chancellor Gao, former Chancellor Gao of lacrosse, going from OnlyFans to Netflix. We'll tell you why and how after this. Farm News is next. Don't go anywhere. Civic Media Radio Network.
Cereal,
Maybe.
milky. Cereal, milky. Cereal,
Maybe.
milky. Cereal, milky. Hey.
Madison, real news and great conversation.
What a bad song.
92.7 WMDX. As Wisconsin is brats on the grill for a tailgate, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Prices have tumbled to their lowest level since 2021, dropping to $2.05 per pound last week. I'm Stephanie Hoff for the Midwest Farm Report, along with you on a Tuesday, and we'll talk about why butter prices are falling at a time of year that they're supposed to be higher. Stick around.
This is the sound of corn pests wreaking havoc on your crops. This is the sound of a channel field protected by Bayer's trait technology. With the RNAi technology of SmartStax Pro, the all-in corn rootworm fighter, and VT4 Pro, Bayer's widest spectrum of defense, you can stay one step ahead of ever-changing pest pressure. Find the right corn trait for your fields at channel.com/corn traits. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Everegg dairy analyst Katie Burgess joins us. She tells us that the collapse in butter prices is largely driven by record high butter fat levels on U.S. dairy farms. She says dairy cows are making more fat in their milk due to better genetics.
As we do more genomic testing on animals, dairy cows today keep getting better and better with each generation. Plus, the dairy nutritionists out there have been working hard too, finding things like high oleic beans, which help increase the fat content per pound of milk produced. And the result is record high butter fat production in each pound of milk. That means we've had a lot more cream available out in the market. And all of that means we made a lot of butter. Contacts tell us there's a lot of bulk butter around. And that sent the prices to the lowest level we've seen in 4 years.
Katie Burgess along with us. She's a dairy analyst and broker with Everegg. Stick around. We'll take a look at today's closing markets next.
We want milk fat. We want milk fat. There's a full house in the stands tonight, and it sounds like they're demanding higher milk fat and lower feed costs.
These fans know that growing Pioneer brand Plenish high oleic soybeans for dairy rations can help producers increase milk fat production without increasing feed costs.
For dairy farmers, it's Plenish soybeans for the winning return on investment.
Plant the 100th season of Pioneer. Visit pioneer.com/feedplenish.
On the close Tuesday from Chicago, only corn is higher as we start the work week after a 3-day weekend in the marketplace. Cash and new crop corn is up 2 3/4 cents at $4.23 a bushel. Cash and new crop soybeans closed down 13.5 cents at $10.41 a bushel, and cash and new crop wheat is down 6 cents at $5.28 1/4. Moving on to closing dairy markets, the 40-pound block cheese closed down a penny at $1.76 1/2. Looking at AA butter, which we talked about earlier, that closed 3 1/4 cents lower at $2.01 1/4, so lower than the recent record low of last week. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
Download the Civic Media app in the Google Play or Apple App Store and take us everywhere. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Sunny and still staying summery today, with high temperatures climbing to the upper 70s. Tonight, a cold front moves through, sparking showers and some rumbles of thunder, mainly overnight and throughout tomorrow. None are expected to be severe, and around 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of rainfall is likely. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 74.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show.
If you're looking for honest talk, real stories, and straight-up news that matters to you, tune in to The Rick Smith Show. We're digging into the issues that affect your job, your family,
30
your
seconds.
future.
Thank you.
Join me weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network, because your voice deserves to be heard. That's The Rick Smith Show, heard weeknights at 9 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
John Peterson and Gordy Young.
Wednesday morning, we'll be talking with Substack.
She's Carmen.
And he's Joe.
And we are
The sexy, happy couple. And this is
Sexy Healthy Cooking,
your go-to show for plant-based food. We are vegans, which means we eat a plant-based diet.
Carmen is a very talented chef, and she's going to make us some food today. We also like to have a guest star from the adult entertainment industry to talk a little bit about food and lifestyle and other topics that come up. The wonderful Lauren Phillips, Will Pounder, Tyler Nixon, Sophie Marie, Damon Dice.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 now, past the hour of 3 o'clock. That is the opening. That is the opening to former UW Chancellor Joe Gau's OnlyFans show with his wife. What was it called again?
So they're
Happy Endings Cooking?
close
No.
enough. No, Sexy Happy Cooking.
Sexy Happy Cooking. That's it. Sexy Happy
And
Cooking.
also, for anybody at Civic Media who is listening right now and heard that, this is on YouTube. I did not go on any of their websites on company Wi-Fi.
That's what he says. I can't see his computers from here, but that's what he says. He found it just on YouTube.
I promise.
We're going to get to that in just a minute. Big story. If you don't look, the Brewers are off tonight. So I know there's a lot of people out there that, like me, that have been addicted to watching and listening to the Brewers. We got a night off. If you're looking for television entertainment, we have a suggestion. We'll get to that in a minute. Right now, let's finish up what's worse for today. What's worse, 2% or skim milk? Skim milk or 2%? What's worse? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to CJ in Stoughton. CJ, skim milk or 2%? What's worse?
Oh, definitely skim. But, yeah, who doesn't love chocolate milk?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I grew up, my parents also did the Sanilac, which was powdered milk. But I don't know. My
you're
brothers and I are
you're the second
6'5",
person that has said this, and this is intriguing to me. Do you think it was due to just economy? It was cheaper to do that, or why did they do the powder?
Well, I think Similac is a formula, like a baby formula.
Oh, I swear you're like really young.
No, Sanilac was a powdered milk.
Okay.
I must be
my
thinking of
older
something
brother
else.
still complains, but I think they did more for him because he only grew to about 6 foot. My brother and I were 6'5", so
Yeah, it is a different brand.
we
than what
didn't
I was
have it
thinking.
our whole life. But did you hear? Milk prices are down? Do you listen to the news?
We try.
Since 4 years.
We
so.
try, CJ. That's great. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call, CJ. 855-752-4842. Tom in Madison, listening on WMDX. Tom, 2% or skim, what's worse?
Oh, skim, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like water. It's just crazy. I just wanted to mention vaccines today because I had something happen. I'm over 65 and I'm an asthmatic, so I'm going to have no problem at all. But I have a friend who is not 65, who has cancer, and we looked up if she can get the vaccine, and no, because she doesn't have the right kind of cancer to please the Republicans.
Yeah, you're talking about these changes at the CDC under Trump and RFK we were talking about earlier.
Right. So I would love, which I spent a whole bunch of time today doing, call your Republican legislators, all of them. I've called my Democratic senator and congressperson, and they are, of course, on the same page as the rest of us are that actually believe in science. But call all your Republican reps, congressmen, state senators, all of those people, and whoever answers the phone, ask them if they are going to get their vaccine this fall.
Thanks, Tom. Really
And
appreciate. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, we definitely need to do this. This is a very personal thing. We're going to have a lot of people dying because of this RFK Jr. worm brain, and this is absolutely ridiculous. And we need to take action. I mean, if there's anybody in your family under 65, look around the dinner table tonight and know that they are at risk, and the only reason they are at risk is because of MAGA Republicans.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the call. Like I say, I have not got. They were out of. I was supposed to get my COVID vaccine as well on Friday, but they happened to be out, so I got to go either to Walgreens or back to the doctor's office. But I got my Shingrix for shingles, and I got my pneumococcal pneumonia, and yeah, it took me down for a couple of days, but feel fine today, and very thankful that those were available. I'm very thankful I was able to get them. So, yeah, absolutely. If you follow the science, and we had the story earlier, nine former CDC directors, including Republicans, have said that what RFK Jr. is doing now at Health and Human Services and at CDC is just unprecedented. Not only is it unprecedented, never happened before, in that what they are doing to Tom's point. So appreciate that. All right, let's finish this up, Summers. Our own Megan weighing in here on the what's worse today between skim milk and 2%. Megan saying skim milk is the worst. My dad really likes to put ice in his skim milk. Ugh. I could never drink it after watching that every morning. Yeah, I can't imagine that. That's just gross indeed. Zombers, 2% of skim milk. What's worse?
I am not going to say anything controversial here. I agree with basically everyone else who said anything that skim is worse because it's too close to water. Especially, ice in skim milk.
Ugh, that's gross.
But I also understand, you could get used to skim milk.
I get that people that are like high cholesterol or
I'm glad it exists.
I know there are reasons for it out there like that, and I get that. But yeah, just as a pleasurable beverage to enjoy, no, 2% is absolutely where it's at. Skim milk is definitely worse. In my opinion. So thanks everybody that called and played along today. And what's worse, we'll have a new category for you tomorrow in our second hour. Here now at 41 minutes past the hour. Hold on, a quick late entry here on WAUK out of beautiful Wind Lake. And who wouldn't want to live on or near or close to Wind Lake? Pat, listening in Wind Lake. Well, I don't think she's in the lake, he or she. Pat says skim milk is of the two choices is worse. Condensed milk is the all-time worst. I'm not sure if I've ever had just now sweetened condensed milk. That's delicious. I mean,
I've never drank either. I mean, I've used them in cooking, in baking.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I've never drank sweetened condensed milk. I've licked out a bowl using it as a recipe. But yeah, sweetened condensed milk. You can use like on a tres leche cake. That's 3 milks for those that don't speak Spanish. Tres leches. It's a delicious, delicious dessert. Speaking of desserts, at 42 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock, our old friend Joe Gao. Remember him? The fired UW. This is coming to us by the way, of the La Crosse Tribune. A fine publication up there in La Crosse in the western part of the state. Says fired UW La Crosse Chancellor Joe Gao will appear on a TMZ documentary special about OnlyFans and its content creators airing on the Fox network the first day of classes of the fall term. Gao was fired for producing and starring in online pornographic material with his wife, Carmen Wilson. Wilson is also expected to appear in the TMZ special. No word on whether she'll be clothed or unclothed. The documentary, get this, Summer, set the VCR, wake up the kids, as Letterman used to say. The documentary airs at 8 p.m. tonight. Of course, I made my own stupid error there. Because you don't say 8 p.m., you say 8 o'clock tonight, or you say 8 p.m. But anyway, 8 o'clock tonight on the Fox network. Now, this is not Fox News. This is your standard NFL on Fox channel. So like the Fox network. Gao said he and Wilson have not seen the documentary, but had a, quote, wonderful interview, unquote, with TMZ producers. OnlyFans rose in popularity primarily for allowing users to package online pornographic content where creators can manage exclusivity, pricing, and promotion of their material while retaining independence. The TMZ documentary is expected to interview several content creators about the boom in online porn industry with OnlyFans and similar programs. OnlyFans and other exclusive websites became a central part of Gao's case against the universities of Wisconsin, i.e. the UW system. One of Gao's main arguments was that a majority of his and his wife's explicit content was put on these sites behind paywalls. That means that the general public had no way to access the content without paying. In several interviews throughout the controversy, Gao has denied that having his porn material discovered while in office was a stunt to draw revenue for his OnlyFans paid content. Now, I'm not going to tell you who, I'm not going to tell you why, I'm not going to tell you how. But I happen to know someone who knows someone who lives in the same neighborhood as Chancellor Gao. And apparently, A, they're very nice people, as they say, and also he has a very nice home. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like he did I'm not sure if he got his wealth through being a chancellor or OnlyFans or both.
Well, from this YouTube video, it looks like it's probably in that very nice home. I imagine that they already own it.
Are you watching the Gao cooking videos
I
during
was
the
earlier
show?
because we were playing the audio from it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, if you want more, if you want to learn more, tune into Fox, not Fox News. This is the old Fox network. So like, American Idol used to be on that. What big shows are on Fox besides football these days?
I have no clue.
I don't know either. Well, you got your Sunday. It's where you normally would watch the Packers. Like in Madison here is Channel 47. So tune in at 8 o'clock. You can find all about Chancellor Gao and his OnlyFans presentation. So,
I am very interested in what he's going to say because he always is. He has such. I don't even know how to describe it. There's just the way he interacts with this subject is very funny to me. I don't know why. It's just something about it.
It's highly entertaining. All right, let's get to this quickly before we got to step away for a minute. This now from Dan Bice, great reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Strict rules for thee and all judicial candidates in Wisconsin, but not for me. As a Democratic state legislator, Chris Taylor sponsored legislation that would have clamped down on judges and justices participating in cases involving campaign donors, which to me sounds like a very reasonable and good thing. The bill, which was introduced in 2015, would have required judges to disqualify themselves from a case if they received campaign donations of $1,000 or more from a party to a case. The only way around the proposed recusal rule would have been if the other side of the case agreed to waive it. It was a tough proposal, Bice writes, one that was not surprisingly not going to go anywhere. That left the recusal rules for the Supreme Court justices pretty loose and secretive. But now that Judge Taylor is an appeals court judge running for a seat on the Supreme Court, what does she think of her old proposal when she was a legislator? Will she abide by the terms of her own legislation if she's elected to the high court? Well, Bice asked Sam Rocker. I wonder if that's any relation to our own Rocker. Sam Rocker, a spokesman for Taylor, skirted the issue. Here's the quote. Said, Judge Taylor will always follow the law and ethical rules just like she has on the Circuit Court and Court of Appeals. Judge Taylor continues to believe we do need to address the flood of special interest money in campaigns, that we should look at opportunities to updated recusal rules, something her opponent has blocked while on the court. Unquote. Translation, Bice writes? That's a no. The court should, quote unquote, look at possibly updating its disqualification rules, but Taylor's spokesman drops any mention of her old proposal when asked to specify about it.
More interested in this money than Joe Gao's.
Tim Cullen always used to tell us anything other than a no is a yes, and anything other than a yes is a no. One of the great stars of Dances with Wolves has passed away. We'll tell you who it is and the importance of it after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Wisconsin is hitting the road on your Harley. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare
Can you dial up?
In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. Must be a name of it, but theme song for Dances at Wolves.
A real family
See what you get on that.
treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treatment. That philosophy has helped
We'll come back with that,
to the
please.
largest, most trusted
Just starting at the beginning there?
Yeah, that's fine.
in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in
Timeshare
timeshare
freedom.
give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
For anyone listening, thinking about buying a timeshare,
800-549-8866.
don't.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal.
One of my friends, he and his
Without your
parents were on a
presence,
trip
high
in
school sports
Hawaii,
and the performing arts
and
aren't
they
possible.
get
Ensure that these
$200
essential
off their hotel
extracurricular
visit if they
activities
went to
continue
a
enrich the
4-hour
lives of
timeshare
students in
presentation.
Wisconsin.
And they
Purchase a ticket to your
They went
local
to the
high school's
presentation,
game or
and his
performance.
parents signed.
This message presented by the
After going in being like,
because
we're
some
just
of them are very, very good.
Association.
And there's a small window in which you can get out of it.
Driver at a gas station.
But you have to do things exactly the way they tell you to.
Great. Were you wearing your seatbelt
And it's very
today?
complicated.
I never wear my seatbelt.
Or it can be.
We're going to get him. We're going to get him real good. Oh, my goodness. Hello,
And
sir.
if you
How
don't do
doing?
that,
Dollar Driver.
it's
It
darn
takes
near
1
impossible
second
to
strap the seatbelt on.
get
So
out
let's
of
do
it.
this. Let's do it together. Now, don't
I think
do
they're
that.
fine
Driver can't always be
for
there to
people who are,
remind you.
Click it or take
I would
it.
say, very
And
well,
let's reduce
very wealthy.
fatalities
If you have a
on
lot of
Wisconsin roadways.
And I should have
disposable
recognized your voice when
income,
you're harassing. I'm watching
and
you.
you see no
Sponsored
end
by
to that
Wisconsin
ever.
DOT.
Maybe that's
Your
right.
computer's so slow you can hardly use it.
but no one
Does it
else.
have blue
But if
screens,
you're
malware, viruses,
the average
reboots,
person,
hardware crashes,
probably not correctly.
sounds
That is
like
you're
not
basically-
that is not
computers
legal
will have
advice.
problems
That is
when they
just
do.
based
You
on
need the
Yes.
computer
things I know
experts at Madison
from people
Computer
like
Works.
that.
Every day
You're
we
basically
help
locking
homes
yourself
and
into a
businesses
lifetime
keep their computers and
contract
networks
for
running
a vacation
smoothly.
home that you can
Solutions to your
occasionally
computer problems,
use,
call the
maybe.
pros at
Yeah.
231-8000, and we'll turn this into this. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
You know Ignite Glass and Gifts 3 locations in Madison, but you can also shop IgniteGlassandGifts.com.
Oh, 30 seconds.
Thank
You'll
you.
find grinders, lighters.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Now 8 minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock. Top of the hour, ABC, CBS News, check of weather, Mike Clemens with sports, and then another edition of the Maggie Dawn Show. Stay tuned for that. The haunting music, great music, from the Academy Award-winning Dances with Wolves. It makes my short list for best films of all time, certainly films that at least I have seen. This from NPR today. One of the most respected indigenous actors of his generation, Graham Greene, appeared in more than 200 television shows and movies, including the 1990 blockbuster Dances with Wolves. For his role as a Lakota warrior who allies himself with a Civil War soldier played by Kevin Costner, Greene was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Greene died yesterday in Stratford, Ontario, of natural causes, according to a statement provided to NPR from his manager, Jerry Gordon. In Dances with Wolves, Greene's dialogue was in the Lakota language, but Greene was part of the Oneida Nation, born on the Six Nations of the Grand River Reserve near Brantford, Ontario. Later, he told the television Academy that learning those lines was the greatest challenge of his life. He studied Lakota for 8 hours every day for 7 days a week. He said, quote, "I don't even speak my own language," he said in a 2023 interview. He went on to say, we were taught not to speak it, meaning his own language. It's like forgetting your heart. I think that's so powerful. He said we were taught not to speak it, meaning his own indigenous language. He said it was like forgetting your heart. Green found his way into acting after working as a steel worker and welder and a roadie for a rock band. He appeared in numerous small roles in huge films, including as a convict in The Green Mile, a detective in Die Hard with a Vengeance, and as a tribal chief in 2 films in the Twilight Saga. He was also a familiar presence on television shows and miniseries such as American Gods, The Last of Us, Tulsa King, and Reservation Dogs. Green was also a stage actor who performed at Canada's prestigious Stratford Festival and a Native Earth Performing Arts, which bills itself as the country's oldest professional Indigenous theater company. Graham Greene, again, passing away yesterday, according to his agent. What a marvelous actor. What a marvelous person. By the way, Graham Greene was only 73 years old. Again, reports that was died of natural causes. 1990, I was in college at UW-Platteville at the time, and was one of the, or maybe just about to go there, I guess the summer between Richland and Platteville. It was one of those films that had such a great impact, where I learned something, where it touched me, where it made me more curious to learn about Indigenous peoples, about Native Americans. And I had a great professor, and I apologize for forgetting his name right now, in Platteville, an English professor, who we studied this film for 2 or 3 weeks. And I can't remember if he was part Native or not, or just very, very entrenched in that history. But we talked about this film and the significance and what it meant. And whatever you think about Kevin Costner as a person or an actor, this to me is one of the great achievements in film, because Kevin Costner was not the Kevin Costner of Yellowstone that everybody knows now. He was a relatively new person to film. I mean, he'd been in the business, but a lot of people didn't know him. And he directed, he produced, and he starred in this film and put all of his, not maybe other people invested, but a lot of his own money in it. He said it was a love letter. And what made it so impactful is, unlike a lot of the television, I'll say, crap that I grew up with, in Costner's film, Dances with Wolves, the Indigenous and Native people, the characters in the film, they spoke the Indigenous language, and there were English subtitles in the film. So you actually got the real story. And it was enormously powerful. The Civil War soldier who was kind of stuck out in the Western frontier at the time and is kind of left for dead and is taken in by this Native American tribe. And if you've never seen it, rent it, stream it, buy it. Dances with Wolves. And part of what makes the film so impactful is the performance given by Graham Greene, who, again, was a true Indigenous. These weren't white people being dressed up or Latinos being dressed up. These were Indigenous people, Indigenous actors, which is what Costner insisted on in this film. And it was really a turning point in my young life at the time to think differently about a culture within my own country. Well, as it turns out, actually in someone else's country. And it gave me a completely different perspective. And it started a journey down from my life and my relationship and looking how I look at Indigenous people, how I look at Native people, and heart and prayers and thoughts go out to the family of Graham Greene, and many thanks for what he did, not just in Dances with Wolves, but also his entire acting career? What are those moments in life that transforms us? Maybe Pete Schwaba might be talking about this. We'll see later on tonight on Nightlight. Tune in from 6 until 8. The great Pete Schwaba is back in the chair tonight on Nightlight. Maggie Dawn is next. Many thanks to Luke Mathers, for joining us today as our special guest. Aaron Zommers, our producer, engineer. All of you for calling, listening, and texting. Tomorrow, going to be talking with Pat Kreitlow, Trygve Olsen, and maybe a special appearance by our own Matt Flynn. Could be back on the show tomorrow talking about his new novel. So be with us then. Until then, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a great night.
Adios.
Bye-bye.